Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. I want to talk about the upcoming potential for a recession and what it actually means in real human impact. I'm looking at a chart of life expectancy, and this is one of the most beautiful ones I've ever seen because they actually break it down by race. And so you not only can you see improvements in life expectancy, but you can see the narrowing of the inequality in life expectancy. That's one thing we don't talk about a lot. We all know the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. What you might not realize is that even though the average human on Earth is living a lot longer today than they were 50 years ago, depending on the context, the gap between the long-lived and the short-lived is actually widening, but it's not widening by race, so that's a good thing. I believe today life expectancy in the US is 78 years old, but there's a standard deviation of 15 years, and that standard deviation is growing rapidly. And there are mathematical models that show that certainty in life expectancy is worth something. I'll let you do the research on that. But just between my viewers and I, would you rather, here's a question for you, would you rather live to be 80 years old for certain, or would you rather live to be 100 plus or minus 20, right? I'll let you leave a comment. That one's a hard one to answer, right? With certainty, there are things that you can financially plan for, right? If you live to be 100 plus or minus 20, your finances are going to be tricky, your retirement planning is going to be tricky, your life insurance policy is going to be really expensive if your insurer knows about that, right? So I'll let you leave a comment on that. But here we have, if you look carefully, the Great Depression right here. This was Spanish flu, obviously, but Great Depression, stagflation. We had the 50s and 60s when the middle class was doing really well. And look what life expectancy did there. When Bill Clinton was president and we had the biggest dot-com boom in history, financial crisis, and then the plateau right after that. And if you don't count the people who actually died from either the COVID lockdown restrictions and suicides or maybe COVID complications, but that's a rare one. I would imagine the COVID recession probably didn't do too badly either. I gotta point out something. The US just lost 26 years of progress on life expectancy during COVID. I gotta point out there's a mathematical problem with that. If we get out the calculator, how many people in the US have died of COVID? Why don't we Google that? A little over 1 million, 1 out of every 300. Calculator time. 1 out of every 300. Now, what's the average age somebody dies of COVID? We can probably Google that as well. Age COVID death. 65 years old. So if you die of COVID at 65 instead of 78, right, you lose 14 years of life expectancy. So 1 out of every 300 people is losing 14 years. So you lost 0.046, right? Not 2.7 years. Now this chart is problematic because they talk about life expectancy at birth. Well, if you were born in 2020, how do I know you're going to live to be 76, right? Got to point that out. I think it's a scare story more than anything else. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.